Most people never start saving for retirement because they're waiting to earn more money first. They tell themselves that once the raise comes through, once the kids are older, once the debt is paid off, then they'll start. And the years go by, and the window quietly closes. But here's what surprises most people. The size of your paycheck is not the most powerful factor in building retirement wealth. Time is. And the second most powerful factor isn't a big lump sum. It's a small, consistent habit, started today. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how small savings done consistently over time can grow into life-changing retirement wealth. We'll go through the math in plain English, look at real numbers, and talk about where to put your money and how to find it in the first place, even if you feel like there's nothing left at the end of the month. Whether you're 35 or 58, this matters. Let's get into it. There's a trap that a lot of people fall into. They look at retirement savings calculators, see that they need somewhere between $500,000 and $1 million, and they freeze. The number feels impossible. So instead of starting small, they start nothing. That's the wrong move, and it costs far more than most people realize. The truth is that most Americans who build serious retirement wealth don't do it with one big windfall. They do it the unglamorous way, a fixed amount pulled from their paycheck every single month for decades. That's it. No lottery, no inheritance, no perfectly timed stock market bet. Just consistency. Think about it this way. $25 a week is roughly $3.50 a day. That's less than most people spend on coffee without thinking. $50 a month is what many households spend on streaming subscriptions they barely use. $100 a month. That's one dinner out, skipped, every few weeks. The amounts feel small because they are small. But compounding doesn't care about how the money felt when you set it aside. It only cares that you did. Let me give you the clearest explanation of compounding I know. When you invest money, it earns a return. Let's say 7% per year, which is a conservative long-term historical estimate for a diversified stock index fund. That return gets added to your balance. Next year, you earn a return on your original money and on last year's return. The year after that, you earn a return on all of that, and so on, for decades. This is where it gets powerful, and where most people underestimate what they're capable of. If you're 25 years old and you invest just $100 a month into a low-cost index fund at a 7% average annual return, and you do that until age 65, you'll have approximately $260,000 on contributions of only $48,000. The market did the other $200,000 for you. Now bump that to someone who starts at 35. They invest $300 a month, 3 times as much, for 30 years. At the same 7% return, they end up with about $366,000. And here's the one that really makes the point land. Someone who waits until 45 and invests $500 a month for 20 years, about $260,000. The same as the person who invested $100 a month starting at 25, even though they contributed 5 times more per month. That's not a math trick. That's just how time compounds. The person who started at 25 with $100 beat the person who started at 45 with $500, not because they were smarter or higher earners, but because they started. This is where many people go wrong, and it's worth spending a moment on it because the numbers are genuinely sobering. Let's say you're 35 right now. If you invest $300 a month from today until you're 65, at 7%, you'll have roughly $366,000. That's not $1 million, but it's a serious foundation, more than most Americans retire with. Now imagine you wait 10 years, same $300 a month, same 7%. You start at 45 instead of 35. Your outcome drops to about $156,000. That 1 decade of waiting cost you over $200,000, and you didn't spend that money. You just didn't save it. Now here's the good news, because this video isn't meant to make you feel bad. It's meant to show you what's still possible, starting right now. Before we talk about where to find the money, let's talk about where to put it, because this is where a lot of beginners get lost. The first place to start is your workplace retirement account. a 401k if your employer offers one. The reason this comes first is simple. Many employers will match a portion of what you contribute. If your employer matches 50 cents for every dollar you put in, up to 6% of your salary, that's an instant 50% return on that portion of your money. There is no investment on earth that beats that. If you are not capturing your full employer match, you are leaving free money on the table. If your employer doesn't offer a plan, or once you've captured the full match, the next step is an IRA, an individual retirement account. You can open one at any major brokerage in about 15 minutes. A traditional IRA gives you a tax deduction now. A Roth IRA lets your money grow and be withdrawn tax-free in retirement. For most people early in their careers, the Roth is the better long-term move. For people in higher tax brackets now, the traditional often makes more sense. Either way, both are powerful tools. Inside these accounts, the investment itself matters. For beginners, a broad market index fund, something that tracks the S&P 500 or the entire U.S. stock market, is the most straightforward and most effective choice for long-term growth. Low fees, wide diversification, no stock picking required. That's the full framework. Employer 401k up to the match, then Roth IRA if eligible, then back to the 401k for additional contributions. Simple, repeatable, effective. Now comes the part people skip because they assume the answer doesn't apply to them. But here's what surprises most people. Most households have more financial flexibility than they feel like they do. They just haven't looked carefully enough. One of the most effective places to find savings is subscriptions. The average American household pays for more streaming services, apps, and monthly memberships than they regularly use. A single cancellation might free up $15 to $20 a month. Not much alone, but a starting point. Dining out is the other big one. This isn't about eliminating enjoyment. It's about noticing patterns. 2 or 3 fewer restaurant meals per month can free up $60 to $100 for most families. That alone, invested consistently, becomes meaningful over time. Then there are the one-time influxes that most people spend instead of save. Tax refunds, work bonuses, raises. The average federal tax refund is over $3,000. If you invested that once a year in a Roth IRA, you'd be funding a substantial portion of the annual contribution limit on refund money alone. Money you were never counting on in the first place. And if you want to go further, automating the transfer matters more than motivation. Set up an automatic contribution that moves money to your retirement account on payday before it hits your checking account. Most people find they adapt to the smaller take-home without noticing, and the savings happen whether they're in the mood or not. That's the real secret to consistency. Make it automatic, make it invisible, and let the math work. Sarah started her first full-time job at 27. She wasn't making a lot, around $48,000 a year, and after rent, student loans, and groceries, it didn't feel like there was much left. But she set up a Roth IRA and committed to putting $200 a month into a simple S&P 500 index fund. Not because she had a grand plan, but because a coworker told her to do it and she trusted them. 38 years later, at 65, that $200 a month, at a 7% average return, has grown to roughly $450,000, on total contributions of around $90,000. Sarah never had a high salary. She never made a bold market move. She just kept going. If you're in your late 40s or 50s watching this, I want to talk to you directly for a moment, because this section is for you. You cannot go back and start earlier. That ship has sailed, and there's no point spending energy on it. But here is what you can do. First, start immediately, whatever the amount. Even $200 or $300 a month at 50 gives you 15 years of compounding before a traditional retirement age. That's not nothing. That's a foundation. Second, capture every dollar of employer match if you haven't already. We already covered why this is the highest return move available. Third, consider increasing your savings rate gradually over time. Every raise is an opportunity. If you get a 3% raise and you redirect half of it to retirement savings, your lifestyle barely changes, but your future does. Fourth, think strategically about when you retire. Working 2 or 3 years longer than planned does something powerful. It gives your investments more time to grow, adds more Social Security credits, and shortens the period you're drawing down your accounts. For late starters, a slightly later retirement can make an enormous difference. Marcus is 47. He spent most of his 30s dealing with medical debt and a divorce, and retirement savings weren't something he could prioritize. When he finally sat down to look at his finances at 47, he had about $12,000 in a 401k from a job years ago and almost nothing else. He felt behind. He was behind. But he made a decision. He enrolled in his current employer's 401k, contributed enough to get the full match, opened a Roth IRA, and set up automatic contributions totaling $500 a month across both accounts. With the employer match included, the effective savings rate was closer to $700 a month. Over 18 years to 65, at 7%, that's over $300,000. Not $1 million, but combined with Social Security, a paid-off home, and a modest lifestyle, it becomes a workable retirement. Not the one he imagined in his 20s, but a real one, a dignified one. He started where he was. Here's something worth saying plainly, because it often gets lost in the noise. Most people who retire with real wealth didn't feel wealthy while they were building it. They drove average cars. They bought clothes on sale. They passed on vacations they couldn't comfortably afford. They saved consistently for 20 or 30 years, not because every month felt exciting, but because they understood what they were building. Wealth at retirement is almost always built quietly. It doesn't announce itself. It accumulates in the background while you live your life. And one day you look at a statement and realize the years have done what you couldn't have done alone. To reach $1 million in 35 years at 7%, you'd need to invest about $555 a month. That's roughly $18 a day. For many households, that's achievable. Not easy, but achievable, especially when you factor in employer matches, tax advantages, and gradual rate increases over time. The goal isn't perfection, it's direction. You don't need to be investing $500 a month today if you can't. You need to be investing something and increasing it over time as your life allows. The best time to have started was years ago. The second best time is today. Not next month when things settle down. Not next year when the raise comes through. Today. Even if today means opening an account with $50 and setting a recurring transfer for $100. Because the version of you who starts today, even imperfectly, even late, even small, will be in a very different position in 15 or 20 years than the version who keeps waiting. If these kinds of straightforward, no-nonsense retirement and investing strategies are useful to you, subscribe to this channel. We put out practical finance videos designed for real people, not Wall Street professionals, not influencers. Just clear, honest information to help you build a better financial future. Take one step today. That's all it takes to start.